Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we are talking about if that upcoming confirmed June Nintendo Direct will be the final Nintendo Direct focusing on just Switch 1. Is this the end of all the Switch 1 Directs? That's what I would like to talk more about today. But before going forward, let me ask that if you do enjoy my content, to please subscribe and hit that notification bell. So this wouldn't be the first time that I've questioned if we are about to get our final Switch 1 focused Direct. When we go back to last September, that Direct, I was wondering if it would be the final Nintendo Direct. And there was a variety of reasons for that. The big one was that initially, reports were suggesting that Switch 2 would be coming out sometime in the year of 2024. And if those reports were to hold true, then we would be getting a reveal of the console relatively soon, and thus marketing for Nintendo would start mentioning and suggesting Switch 2, so future Directs wouldn't just include things about Switch 1, but also Switch 2. That was the thought process. But this year, things have changed. We've gotten reports indicating that Nintendo has internally delayed the console to early 2025, and so we haven't gotten a full-blown reveal of the console yet. They've just simply confirmed its existence, and they'll be giving us more details later on. But before these reports surfaced, there was a lot of indication from different places that a full reveal was going to happen this March, and that did not happen. But we'll speak more on that situation in a moment. The main point I'm making here is that I was thinking that the Switch 1 Directs were going to end soon because a Switch 2 reveal was expected soon, but then it was delayed. However, there was another reason. When we take a look at the September Nintendo Direct, towards the end, before the final reveal for Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Remake, they showed a trailer that highlighted all of Nintendo's big releases coming in the foreseeable future. This included the DLC for Pokemon, Splatoon, but also things like Luigi's Mansion, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Princess Peach Showtime, basically all the content we've been enjoying since that last Direct. But the way they ended the Direct with that kind of trailer and also Paper Mario at the end was different than all prior Directs. I went back and looked at the end of the different Directs, and they don't put together trailers like that. They might have a sizzle reel, but this sizzle reel will be including games not mentioned throughout the Direct. This Direct with that trailer, to me it felt like they were trying to represent some semblance of finality there. Almost like, hey, this is how we are wrapping up Switch 1. And when you put into perspective that Nintendo had a pretty good year, we had Tears of the Kingdom, we had Pikmin 4, we had Mario Wonder, and all these other nice little things afterwards, and then you operate under the assumption that a Switch 2 reveal would be happening in March, it would have worked out pretty well. Let's also remind ourselves that we didn't get a General Direct in February as we typically do. What we got instead was just a partner showcase. So it may very well have been the plan that September Direct was going to be the last Switch 1 focused Direct. We still would have gotten our partner showcase in February, but then in March we would have gotten the Switch 2 reveal, and then things moving forward would have been presentations including things on both Switch 2 and Switch 1. But also assuming these reports are true of the internal delay, it would then mean that Nintendo had to change their plans, and the September Direct would not be the last Switch 1 focused Direct, and instead, this Direct in June may be that last Switch 1 focused Direct. And thinking about what they've told us, they have told us that this Direct in June will be about Nintendo Switch 1, not about Switch 2 or whatever they're going to be calling the successor. It's simply focused on Switch 1 titles for the latter half of 2024. Now we know how this goes. Nintendo loves to temper expectations when it comes to their Directs. They like to tell us what they're focusing on for a certain period of time, so we're not thinking, oh, they're going to tell us about everything else years down the road. They don't do that too much, but usually there are a few exceptions. They might announce a game or two that are coming out beyond that period of time they said they would be focusing on. So when it comes to this Direct in June, I wouldn't be surprised if we see announcements for games that come out in say January or February, which would go beyond the latter half of 2024. And so this Direct could potentially do a great job of telling us everything we need to know about Switch 1 until the launch of Switch 2, which most reports have indicated at this current point, because it is subject to change, early 2025, presumably March. And now Nintendo's also told us that they'll be giving us more details on the console sometime during this fiscal year. which theoretically could suggest that the console could be coming out even later, because they may not actually give us these details until sometime in early 2025, implying that the console is coming out even further beyond early 2025. And so if that happens, then I doubt that this June Direct would be the last Switch 1 focused Direct. They would probably have to cobble something else together. Maybe it would just be a Direct Mini instead, maybe there's not enough room for any more general Directs just focused on Switch 1. So there's some debate to be had there. But something that's already clear is that Nintendo is moving on. Every year, sales are trending down for the Switch. They're still good, but there is a need to move on, and Nintendo's now acknowledged that need publicly. They've already confirmed the existence of the next console, and more details are coming relatively soon. And when looking at the products we've gotten this year compared to last year, it's already very clear that Nintendo's primary studios are not focusing on Switch 1 anymore. Not one game that's come out this year that's been published by Nintendo was primarily worked on by any of Nintendo's wholly owned studios. Now, I'm not saying that means that there won't be any game that comes out this year that's made by a wholly owned Nintendo studio, but the ratio continues to drop. Now, there's a lot of talk that maybe Metroid Prime 4 will be in this Direct, and I think it will be in this Direct. I think we're going to get that initial trailer for this game. But I'm personally skeptical it comes out this year, but maybe it can. And that would be one big Nintendo game, primarily made by a wholly owned Nintendo studio, that being Retro Studios, and so we could at least get that. But if this Direct ends up having Prime 4 and say maybe that long-rumored remake for Fire Emblem, then we're going to be at a point where it feels like we're getting everything we've been waiting for a Switch generation, especially if they also throw in like that Wind Waker Twilight Princess HD, if that is indeed coming. Then all of a sudden everything that we've waited for will finally have come out for Switch or been announced for Switch, and there won't really be much more that they need to showcase. Nintendo's going to be running out of material that would make it worthwhile for it to be a general Direct focused on just Switch 1. And it's also going to get to a point where they're going to need to start mentioning Switch 2 during these presentations. Supposedly, a lot of third parties are really eager for Switch 2. A lot of them are lining up to make announcements for this console. Square Enix has a number of projects they want to put on the console. Microsoft has a number of projects they want to put on the console. We've heard about anonymous devs being really into this thing. And so announcements for games coming to Switch 2 are at the ready. These kinds of announcements could fill up a Direct. And even when considering some of Nintendo's own games, say like Metroid Prime 4, what if that's cross-gen? At some point, they're going to want to mention that. And here's another game that may have some sort of cross-gen version, Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, there's certainly debate on both these games having some sort of cross-gen version, but when we also consider the recent leak coming from Midori about Yu-King-Oh, which is implying a Breath of the Wild enhancement for Switch 2, there may be games like this that are also at the ready or close to announcement. And so it just seems like there are so many Switch 2 projects that are just waiting for Nintendo to open up the floodgates so they can be announced. And so my main point here isn't so much that we need to have Switch 2 only Directs moving forward, but I'm thinking we're going to have a point where there will be some Directs where Switch 1 will be mentioned, but there's going to be a lot of Switch 2 things mixed in, if not being the focus. And many are speculating that the next time we get significant news on Switch 2 will just be a few months after this June Direct. My speculation is that maybe it happens before the Tokyo Game Show and the Game Awards, where we see a lot of third-party announcements. So maybe we have a presentation of some kind, be it a Direct or not, for Switch 2 in August or September. And so by that point, we would have a September Direct, a typical one. Maybe we get something like that, but it will also start to include Switch 2 announcements. So I think this Direct in June is going to truly, fully be the wrap-up of Switch 1. It's going to be that final Switch 1 focused Direct. And I think there's a chance that they already intended the last Direct back in September to be that final Direct, and this one they'll simply be pulling together everything they have left for Switch 1 that makes sense, and they'll put it here. And there'll be some projects, maybe like Prime 4, that will also be for Switch 2, but they won't be mentioning that specifically in this presentation. But what do you think? Will this June Direct be the final Switch 1 focused Direct? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.